If you have marketing and sales questions, I have answers. Here's how this works. First, you record your number one marketing or sales question. Second, you send it to me as an audio file. And finally, I answer it for you for free. My name's Oren Prunken, and welcome to my show.
Hi Oren, my name is Deb and I'm a self-producing musician on the Fringe circuit. As each year the festivals get bigger, it's becoming harder for the smaller independent acts to cut through and compete with the big budget corporate acts. In addition to this, I'm aware of the massive eco-footprint festivals create, so I'm trying to do my bit for the environment by cutting down on flyers and posters. Without the budget for a publicist, aside from Facebook advertising, what are some other best value for money, unique ways you would use to sell your show in a competitive market?
Hello, Deborah. This is an awesome question. I really like this because I have spent a lot of time in bands and DJing, MCing, and club promoting over the years, and I love this stuff. So it's really what I'm going to give you is hopefully super relevant to you. So if I was in your shoes, I'd do all of the following, right? So I commend you for jumping out there and doing paid Facebook ads. The thing about Facebook ads, anything you spend, I want you to be breaking even. I want you to be self-liquidating that. So any dollar you put in, I want you to be getting a dollar out. I don't want you to be spending money without actually covering your cost of that ad. You may be thinking, oh, why would you want to do that? You're not making any profit. All of your profit should be made on the back end through multiple performances and getting people to come along again and again to what you're doing and bringing their friends. So if you're going to be doing Facebook ads, make sure every dollar you put in, you're getting at least $1 back. Even if you're just covering the costs of your ads, you'll make all of your profit elsewhere through your performances, because people go and see bands over and over and over again and musicians time and time again because they just love what they do. In terms of getting cut through, I totally agree with you. The number one thing is you have to be polarizing. There are going to be people that love you, and if there are people that love you, there are also going to be people that hate you. The only way you're going to get cut through is by putting a stake in the ground and saying, this is who I am and this is what I stand for, and this is the type of thing that I produce. Now on that, if you're being polarizing, that's a really good qualifier. You're getting people to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm in, and I'm in about your music, and also by default, you're disqualifying people and getting them to say they're not a fan of what you're doing, and that is totally okay. The more polarizing you can be, the better. Agree with you with the being eco-friendly for sure, and just beyond the environmental factors that come into that, I think flyers are really dumb. We're coming into a federal election here in Australia, and I see all the core flutes, and all the core flutes are the same thing. Huge waste in terms of rubbish, but they don't actually do anything. Like, no one makes a buying decision by looking at someone's mug on a core flute on a light pole. No one makes a buying decision based on that. Yeah, it's a good memory reminder, but that's a whole other branding issue around memory reminders and why you have branding to start with. So I'm not going to go into that, but what I would be doing, so let me just go back a step. With flyers, most people at, you mentioned the Fringe and other festivals, most people with flyers, they're just going around and everyone's seen that they're just handing out flyers to people in hopes that they will come to their show. And there's, a little bit of a conversation that happens, but not too much. But people take the flyer away and they usually just throw them out. And that's the concern that you've got, right? But with flyers, what they're trying to do is the same thing as politicians with the core flutes. They're just trying to go from, frozen or cold all the way to like boiling, and, they're just trying to take a bit of ice and get it to 100 degrees Celsius within a second. You're trying to sell someone on a bit of paper that's A5. Like, you have to be the best salesperson in the world to be able to do that. And you just don't have the capacity through that modality or medium to do it. So what I would be doing, and the main concern people have is when you're offering something to them, is de-risk it. It's like, I don't know you, I don't like you, I don't trust you. How can you de-risk this buying decision for me? So if I go to your show and it doesn't pan out to be what you promised, I've lost all this money and time and all these other opportunity costs. So what I would be doing is flipping it on its head. Instead of giving something like a flyer to someone, I would be getting something from them that I could follow up with them. So, and this is like the same thing with business cards, right? Like, I don't carry around business cards because if I give a business card to someone, it's just going to go into the drawer or into the bin and they're just going to totally forget about it. But if I take a business card from someone, that means I am in control of the conversation. I can follow up with that person. So what I'm getting at is you to do the same thing, is collect something from them, collect their business card. Not literally collect their business card, but collect their contact details in some way. And I would be doing that as an incentive. Okay, give me your contact details so I can follow up with you. But in exchange for that, what I'm going to do is give you an MP3 player and some headphones with my music on it so you can go out and listen to me, and you can do it in the comfort of your own home. There is zero risk. The only risk is you've given me your contact details, and if you like it, you will enjoy or you will welcome the contact that I have inviting you to my show. That's going to be a paid show. Or I would do the same thing, as I would burn something to a CD and give CDs out in exchange for contact details at these festivals. Same goes, I know you've got a little bit of recorded video of the performances you do, or maybe that's an assumption, but if you do a DVD or put that recorded video on a USB with, in exchange for those contact details. And that kind of builds into the next thing, is now you've got their contact details, you've got their business card, right? And they've already taken zero risk and listened to your music. And if you reach out to them and say, hey, I've got a show coming up, would you like to come along? It's paid, it's only $20. The amount of conversion you get through that is far higher than anything that you would have done with a flyer. And they already know you, and they probably like you. And then it's the buying decisions made much simpler for them. What I would also be doing is looking at, so you mentioned a publicist. I'm not sure if you're doing that currently, but anything to do with PR and publicity, you really need to get a really strong hook or angle that makes you different. And where I'm going with this is there's a guy, and I'm probably going to give a whole bunch of examples in the hip hop, rap, kind of urban sphere, because I'm sort of into that, as well as heavy metal. But there's a guy named Slim Jesus. As a kid, I don't even remember how old he was. He was like 12 years old, but he was a white kid from like Southern America, and he called himself Slim Jesus. He was doing like gangster rap, right? So his angle, and it blew up, his song, I can't even remember what his song was, but it was just going everywhere, was he was this white kid, young guy doing gangster rap, and he called himself Slim Jesus, right? So everything about that is unique and really interesting, and media just jumped on it and really promoted him. So I'm back. I just ran out of memory on my phone. But what I'll be doing, and I'm going to get back to angles just in a second, but the other thing I would be doing would be turning competitors to partners. So there's a lot of other people within festivals competing for the same attention, the same sorts of people. So I'd be going back to that angle and seeing what you do seeing what you do that is unique or different, and using that to differentiate yourself from others. So, yep, there are other people doing, similar musical acts as you, but how can you differentiate yourself rather than competing with other performers, but turn them into partners, something that you complement them or they complement you with. And as soon as you're complementing each other, you're not, by definition, competing, and those those competitors then turn into partners, especially promotional partners, to help you get your message out to similar, different cohorts. Like, let's just look at the need of, let's look at something like cooking, right? There are people that are into cooking, and they buy lots of different cooking books. Like, I'm into books, right? You can see behind me, like, I don't just have one book on one topic, I have multiple books on multiple topics. So just because someone is competing in the same sphere as you, as long as you've got something different, a different book that has different content, different music that has different content, people are going to just go buy it. They're not actually in competition, and your competition can see that you're not directly doing the same thing as them or the same genre as them, or providing something similar. They'll be more than happy to go out and promote for you. The other thing is doing collaborations with different genres. So we're not even talking about competition, turning competition into partners, but different musical acts that are doing different genres, and how can you actually go out and complement each other? They have access to a different certain cohort. You have access to another cohort that's quite different. How can you combine what you both do into one thing and cross promote each other that way? So the example I'm thinking of is T-Pain did a collaboration with Taylor Swift. Like, you've got that hip hop with pop, and they've got two different audiences. They did a collaboration together, and they opened each other's music to different cohorts and helped promote each other in terms of that. What else? I would be giving away my music to anyone and everyone that needs music. You look at podcasts like this, right? I have some intro music and some outro music. I would be going to every different podcaster or YouTuber that has a very similar demographic of who you want to target, and I'd just be giving my music away for free at the front and start or in the middle of their podcast to get your name out there. Same thing with TikTok. If you're not familiar with the app TikTok, this thing is blowing up and it's super addictive. It's all music based, so people are doing things to a backing of music. So I'd just be trying to get your music out there. Now, in terms of other distribution fire hoses, in terms of meaning there are technologies out there that just already have cohorts of people. I would be just submitting all of my music to YouTube, SoundCloud, BitTorrent, who else? Spotify. I'd be submitting all of my music to those platforms and just getting everything out there. The other thing with that is just not being precious about how much you produce. I'd be producing so many different things that you can get out into the marketplace. The thing is, if no one hears it, it doesn't really matter. It's only the big wins that matter if you are putting out a whole lot of music. The example I'm trying to give here is Pitbull, another urban and rap artist. He for years he was prolific. He just put out so much stuff, and a lot of the stuff wasn't good, but a lot of the stuff people didn't hear. But it was only the stuff that was really good that got picked up by the mainstream and got promoted that way. And he got quite a few picked up that way because he was just producing so much stuff, but that quite a lot of the mainstream population don't actually know all of the stuff that he produced, because not all of it was hits and it just went under the radar and got kind of lost into obscurity. The other thing just on this is with all this distribution fire hoses that I was talking about, like Spotify and YouTube and BitTorrent and SoundCloud, is that there are already artists out there that are producing on those platforms. Not sure if you really want to try this out, but a guy named Soulja Boy, you may have remembered him from maybe about 10 years ago. So what he used to do was he would upload his music, but with the names of other artists in his genre. So he would just say whoever was a big artist at the time. He would just rename his tracks the same tracks as them, and then people would just go in searching for those tracks, and then they'll come across this other track that was a Soulja Boy track, and they're like, oh, this is not what I was listening for. But some of them found it was a good thing. Others, and probably the majority of them, didn't think it was a good thing and just like exited it out and got all mad and so on. But the ones that did like it would listen to the end and they'd be like, oh, this is cool. And then at the very end, you'd have information to go and find out more about you. So even though I said a lot of people will get annoyed with that, Soulja Boy actually attributes a lot of his initial success to that strategy. So I'm not sure if you want to try that out, but that's another thing that might be useful. So I think that's all I've got off the top of my head that would be worth you going out and at least considering, if not trying, to get your word out without having to rely on flyers, not having to rely on a publicist, although I did mention some of that, and also not relying on Facebook, but I did mention what I think you should be doing around those three things if you want to follow up with flyers, publicists, and or Facebook. But I gave you a whole bunch of other stuff that I think will help you a lot. But the main thing is don't try to sell people that don't want to be sold. Take them through a customer journey. Make sure that you can grab their contact details. You can follow up, because a lot of your revenue will come from later purchases down the track. So I'd love you to go try all of this stuff out. I'd love you to let me know how you go with it. And I'm really excited to hear from you. Good luck. Thanks for listening. And if you've got a marketing or sales question, please record it, send it to me, and I'll answer it for you for free. And if you like what was on here and want more, please go to orenprunken.com.